it shook the league in a year that has been a really disastrous PR year for the NFL, given what has happened with Tua Tagovailoa, the multiple concussions that he suffered, the fact that he was able to play in that Thursday night game after clearly getting concussed on Sunday, the lack of disclosure about that, then the worst concussion where he was in the fencing posture, which then resulted in them also, the Miami Dolphins and the Spotters, missing the concussion yet again versus the Packers, and him now being out for the playoffs. And plus the Damar Hamlin situation, the NFL has not had a good year in the way that it wants to present itself to the world and says it cares about player safety. Meanwhile, they were trying to see how that game could be and I know there's been a lot of backtracking, like, hey, no, that initial like get back to playing in 5 minutes thing, that was a little false. But make no mistake about it, the NFL was trying to get that game back on air.
Oh yeah.
ESPN could not have been more over the top, particularly Adam Schefter in that panel, until he saw the public reaction. And I'm not like tooting my own horn, but my tweets got thousands of likes on this front. And I tweeted about it, and other people were tweeting about it. And as they went to break and they came back, and Adam Schefter then began to say,
solemnly holding his iPhone, I have no scoops to report.
This game, it cannot continue if the players don't want to continue. Before that, Schefter was saying, I don't know how the players can get back to resuming this game when it does resume.
Yeah, Susie Colbert, who I like, was also kind of like really in the mode of like only seeing it in terms of how will the game resume, what will the implications of the game not being played. The only person, and give him credit, he's not always the most cogent or astute announcer, but having a former player there in Booger McFarland was helpful in him being like, guys, like, that doesn't matter anymore.
Booger McFarland showed humanity, and I don't think Booger McFarland is an analyst who doesn't normally challenge power. I mean, that's why he's there.
Right.
He's
got a lot to go.
He's memeified for saying the same things, like the obvious things over and over again.
He's kind of like Magic Johnson with the
he is a former player.
Yeah.
And you see that humanity that he brought to that was lacking on the other side of the table. And I just that reaction really bothered me. Immediately, I said the game needs to be canceled. You see Josh Allen crying, holding his head in his hands. You see Stephon Diggs with tears streaming down his face. Like, it was just not. There was no way that can continue. And I think the lesson that people can glean from this is, look what happens when players stand in solidarity with one another.
And a huge credit to Zach Taylor.
And Sean McDermott
for both of them, but at the very least, that when that guidance was given, Taylor had the right presence of mind to come over there and basically say, "What do you want to do?"
True.
Not basically, let's just basically deal with what the league has handed down to us. Like, what would you like to do for your players?
Right. And that was a beautiful moment of both teams coming together and players understanding these are our brothers. Like, you know, the league and the entertainment industry and the like ESPN or Fox or whatever, they want these guys to play with all of their heart. I mean, no horrible pun intended, but meaning that they want to see the passion and to use it for entertainment value. But that passion comes from this being these guys' profession, but them having love for their teammates and working alongside them and having that bond. That's what makes a great team, as cheesy as it sounds. And that same impulse and that same brotherhood was really what, stuck it to the NFL and said, we're not playing this anymore. And it was this moment of solidarity with workers and, frankly, management being the coaches.
And also, what I will say is, like, there were some former players and some people which more elegantly made this point than some others, in terms of being like, this is not the point. This was not a point being made where it was like, oh crap, my parlay, or like, oh, like what's it gonna do for the home field advantage? Like, not in that vein was this point made, but there was a point made which I think is well taken, which is that there have been other really gruesome, really awful injuries across sports, but specifically in college football and the NFL, where games have resumed relatively quickly after. I mean, Eric LeGrand, when he played at Rutgers, he was paralyzed from the neck down in a game, and they just started playing after he was carted off the field. What I think was important,
Joe
though,
Theismann.
Joe Theismann with a gruesome leg injury in the Super Bowl. What I think
That
is,
wasn't the
oh,
Super
sorry,
Bowl.
was it
versus it was versus the Giants. Lawrence Taylor laid the hit. So.
But was it a playoff game or another?
No,
Oh, it was just a regular
I'm
game?
not sure what it was, but it was.
It was just not the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But I think the really clarifying thing with this was that a lot of the recovery, a lot of the adversity, a lot of the aftermath can be shuffled off the field in the cart, in a stretcher, in a gurney.
Yeah.
And it can be then used or kind of laundered as so inspirational. They fortunately survived. They might be paralyzed from the neck down, but they're here they are on the side. Here's Eric LeGrand on the sidelines. And I'm not saying they don't have free will, but I'm just saying like that's what the football industrial complex wants to take from those injuries.
Yep.
And it's harder
and
to
the aftermath of it where they're having, T-shirts with his number on it. I mean, what did that cost them?
The fucking Taylorist mass consumption of these T-shirts going to every single team in the league. But I think what the difference was here is that you couldn't stop the cameras from seeing an ambulance come onto the field. You couldn't stop the cameras, even though they obviously, to their credit, the teammates made a wall around Hamlin when this was happening. We were understanding that they were literally doing CPR and that
for
this
10 minutes. His heart stopped. He died on the field.
This man's heart stopped on the field. You can't really wish that away when it's actually happening directly in front of you, and we all have a mutual understanding of what's going on.
Yeah.
So I think not only do I think I give a credit to the Bengals and the Bills for forcing the league's hands to not continue the game, I also think it was just. This was as unavoidable of an unavoidable thing as could possibly have happened to make it so that the NFL, a league that famously, they would literally do anything to make good on the revenue that they have from their TV deals, to have from their ads. They would literally move heaven and earth to not ever suspend a game for any reason that they had to do it at this time.